which is really vital to their continued survival. Now, whales, porpoise, dolphins, they're all part of that big group known as cetaceans, and we've known that they're here on our coast, but some have been elusive over time. In fact, archaeologists knew that there was a species of cetacean along British Columbia's coastline 2,000 years ago, and then it just disappeared. Well, stranger still was that in 1959, there were some fishermen who all of a sudden saw something around them up in the northern British Columbian islands, but they weren't sure what it was. But it was really tricky for them to try to figure out if this was a new mammal, or is this one that was here all along, because they were very, very fast. But later it was discovered that this was the return of Pacific white-sided dolphins. And the first time that they were heard underwater was when they were being recorded by killer whale researchers that were out about with their hydrophones in the water in December of 1984. This is what they heard.
Is he moving?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This is the first time you heard them underwater. And now, decades later, we know we can see Pacific white-sided dolphins all around Vancouver and the Strait of Georgia. And here at the Vancouver Aquarium, we have the opportunity to take care of two very special ones. So joining us down on the dock are our trainers. We have Anna and Charlotte, and together we have the opportunity to work very closely with Helen and Hannah, the Pacific white-sided dolphins. So who would like to see them? Here we go. Here's your first introduction to Helen. We saw them racing around earlier, these mysterious dolphins. And they've got some incredible moves for you.
Get in there.
And not to be outdone, here comes Hannah with some moves of her own. That's a pretty good way to start out. How about a round of applause to start off our dolphin show? We've been fortunate to take care of Helen and Hannah since 2005, and they really do have an incredible story. Charlotte, I think we've got you down there with a microphone. I'm wondering if you could share with us a little bit more about them.
I sure can, Jen. Both of our dolphins are what we refer to as rescued and rehabilitated animals. They were both found entangled in fishing nets off the coast of Japan and brought to a rehabilitation facility where they were deemed non-releasable. Luckily, we've been able to provide them with a permanent home here at the Wild Coast. Working with me today is the beautiful Hannah. Hannah has been here since 2005, and we've been able to build and maintain a very trusting relationship with her in order to provide her with the best possible care through training and regular checkups. Everything that we learned in Hannah's healthcare is used to help researchers and veterinarians to gain a better understanding of these mysterious dolphins. In fact, every day that we spend with them reveals more information about their species as well as their individual personalities. But most of all, Helen and Hannah remind us every day that we still have a lot to learn about cetaceans.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Charlotte. So one thing about these dolphins, we know their range, that's the Pacific Ocean. It begins in northern Mexico, and then all the way up the coast of North America past us here to Alaska. They're in the Aleutian Islands and as far away as Japan. But even knowing that, there are still lots of questions that we have about them, which is why research is so important. I'm curious, is anyone here ever wanted to be a dolphin researcher or dolphin trainer, work with dolphins? Yeah, that's really great because there's a way that you can help out. That's by reporting your sightings of cetaceans around our coast to wildwhales.org. Researchers know that we have these cetaceans off our coast, and if you get a glimpse of one of the 23 different kinds of cetaceans that are around here, whales, porpoise, dolphins, researchers want to know when, where, how many did you see? Because this will allow us to track their movements all around and maybe figure out how many of them actually live locally. But, you know, 23 different kinds? Let's figure out how you can identify Pacific white-sided dolphins, okay? So here's some tips on knowing what you're looking at. When it comes to these ones, check out their bodies for their camouflage. These dolphins have a counter shading of coloring, which means that the bottom is white and the top is dark. Ooh, yeah, that makes it difficult for predators to see them from different angles. Another is noticing the size of them. They have, well, the average size of this dolphin, which is about 1/2 feet long, 2.3 meters. A harbor porpoise is something you could see around here, and Jack and Daisy, just around the corner, are a good example of them. They're a much smaller kind of porpoise. And killer whales, they're huge. They're about 30 feet long or so, or the medium-sized school bus. But this is where their dorsal fins is probably the best way to identify them. It's a really unique feature. And this is a chance for you to get your cameras ready to get a picture of the dorsal fins. So as they come out of the water, well, you can look at Helen's, and if you got that on your camera, you'll notice that hers is really curved with a point at the end. And Hannah's, when you compare it to theirs, it's more triangular and has an even shading of dark and light. And, well, a dorsal fin to them is like a fingerprint to us. No two seem to be similar. But you need to make sure that you're not getting too close if you're especially out on a boat. It's dangerous not only for those dolphins, but us as well. These animals, well, you have to spend, if you're in Canadian waters, at least 100 meters or 400 feet away from them. That's about 10 times the length of this dock that you see here. But don't worry if you think that's too far away, because you can probably still identify them. They're considered to be one of the most acrobatic species in the world.
Whoa.
And yeah, you don't argue with that, do you? Well, these dolphins also are considered to be highly vocal with a variety of sounds that they can make. And if you listen, you'll get a good sample of that right now. That was pretty good. We've got some little innovative vocals from Hannah right here. And that is something that you can listen for when you're out in the water. And when you get to see a sighting of a cetacean, well, that's an incredible experience that we all hope you have. And by reporting it, you're adding to the information that researchers already have. In fact, the most recent sighting of these dolphins was out in Lewis Channel about June 4th. And that's thanks to people like you. But one of the things researchers have also been noticing is the increasing number of dangers that animals do face out in the oceans. As we heard from Charlotte, Helen and Hannah were found accidentally entangled in fishing nets. And when it comes to these dolphins, you still see their scars. In fact, Helen, you'll notice her flippers are a lot